This video is going to be a little bit different than my usual wildlife paintings. I was contacted by British YouTuber Ellie Marie TV for what is quite possibly the strangest commission I've ever been given. I was asked to paint another famous YouTuber, you might have heard of him, KSI. Now, what was so strange about this commission was it's not just a stereotypical painting, it's a 3D head. Ellie got this printed and came to me and asked if I could make it look as real as possible. I can already tell that this is going to be a real challenge. One, I've never actually even painted a 3D model before, and two, because of this glossy finish, I don't know if the paint is actually going to stick. But we can only try, so let's get started. For my first attempt, I'm going to try and airbrush a bit more of a skin tone over this and see if it actually works. First things first, I've got to mix up some colours. The challenge here is going to be getting the right colour. I don't have a brown that is going to be like a perfect match for KSI's skin tone, so I'm going to have to make one, or attempt to make one. Bit of burnt sienna first, a couple of drops of that, a little bit of quinacridone magenta in there, just to pink it up a little bit, just 1 or 2 drops. And then I'm also going to put a little bit of phthalo green in there as well, just again a couple of drops. Mix it all together. Pop the lid on, and then we're good to go. Or, that was what I was hoping for anyway. Well, that didn't work. I think what I'm going to move on to is something a little bit different, and I'm going to give it a spray with some acrylic spray paint that's matte, that will hopefully then allow me to just get a little bit more adhesion with my airbrush paint. Okay, so I think that worked. Here it is now. I think my airbrush paint will actually stick to this, which is good. What I'm actually going to do with this now is put in some shadows, try and match the skin tone a little bit better, put in some pinks sort of on the nose, on the lips, on the cheeks where the blood flow would be going, where it's a little bit redder and those blood vessels are a little bit closer to the surface. Just using the airbrush and hoping the paint's going to actually stick this time. Okay, so that didn't work. It was leaving all those speckles. I've had a bit of a breakthrough and I thought I'd try something different, and I'd go a bit old school and I'd bring out the brushes and the acrylic paints and just try and create a sort of skin tone and a base coat of acrylics over the top of what I'd just done to hopefully provide a little bit more adhesion for the airbrush paint. The reason I didn't use acrylic paints from the start is because I thought they would leave brush strokes and I didn't think it'd look very good, but it turns out it's actually worked quite well. I'm just going to let it dry, then I'll get started with another layer of airbrushing. The acrylic paint worked brilliantly. I think that's a much better skin tone, so hopefully we can put some life into him now. And I think I'm just going to do this with acrylic paint, so I'm just going to use some brushes and mix it up on my palette and see what we can do. I started using the acrylics and just painted in the whites of the eyes first. I then added the pupils, just using a small detail brush. I moved on to the lips using a filbert brush and the detail brush to add some pink and give it a bit more life and texture. I then finally used a rigger brush to add some eyebrow hairs and the hint of a moustache and a little bit of a beard. I then just decided to give him that trademark bandana, add a few rough lines, and just kind of get it looking like it should do. I know it's not exact, but this was just a rough bandana to give it a bit of context and make it look a little bit more like him. So here he is. I know it's not amazing and it's not perfect, but for a first attempt and for the commission that it is, I'm pretty pleased with how it's turned out. I think it looks enough like him to get away with it. Yeah, I'm pretty chuffed with how it's looking. At least I've learned something from this process, and I've learned that I need to do a few different steps before I can actually start the painting process. If you'd like to see what happens to this head, then why not check out Ellie Marie TV's video over here and see what she did with it. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.